Fuller here with another video. Shout out to the whole LDVC. Now, so in this video, man, I want to really talk about the misinformation that is given about certain places, that, you get the wrong idea about, because of what CNN reports, or because of what, Fox reports, or the BBC, or news outlets like that. We often get the wrong idea about certain places. We often think that certain places are accesses of evil, and that certain places have no intention on doing anything good, and want to or pose a threat to United States security, and this, that, and the other. That's what the picture that is presented, man. And these countries that I'm about to talk about, I 110% support everything in which what they stand for, and I 110% do not care if you disagree with me, if you dislike me for it, or if you want to leave some hate speech on the bottom in the comment section, because all I'm going to do is just delete your comment. It's not going to really have its place on the page, and if you don't like what I have to say, don't listen to the video. It's simple as that. I don't go around other people's pages and troll them on their views on certain things, But here's the thing, man. So, one I think it was the Secretary of State or something like that. He went on record to say that, Venezuela, the president of Venezuela is an illegitimate president. That regime needs to be toppled. Hopefully, they can get this guy out of power. Hopefully they can put the true president in power. And this, that, and the other. Now, what they don't tell you is that the president that they want to put in power, the guy that the United States would prefer, is a pro-Western, pro-American leadership. And so what that means, man, is that he would, instead of privatizing the Venezuelan economy, he would capitalize it, and, it would just be a benefit to the United States, more so than it is to Venezuelans. Venezuela, man, Venezuela is in a strategic location, man, because it kind of when you look at Venezuela, it's kind of like the crossroads of the Caribbean and Latin America, man. Because you have Guyana next to it. Grenada is not that far away from Venezuela, and so you have that there. Now, the thing is about Venezuela, man, is that it has a lot of natural resources, not just gas. It has diamonds too. It has different natural resources. So what does the United States want from Venezuela? The United States doesn't care about the social welfare of people in Venezuela. It cares about getting resources from Venezuela. But the thing is, this is the thing. I'm not going to say that the Bolivarian revolution is perfect. I'm not going to say that by any means, okay? There may be mistakes that need to be ironed out in the revolution, okay? But at the end of the day, no system is going to work in fluidity, especially when it's a kind of a new system. To take a backstory on Venezuela, man, Hugo Chavez, the former leader of Venezuela, he what he wanted to do is he kind of wanted to change the trajectory of Venezuela, right? You know, he wanted to basically nationalize and do things for basically for the benefit of his people. You know, what he had, the idea he basically had was that he wanted to nationalize the resources of Venezuela and also get more people involved in political affairs. And he also wanted to actually, you know, basically people that have committees in which they would like see what's going on in the neighborhoods, like see what neighborhoods need and things of that nature, you know. And he also wanted to, you know, basically give people a say, like the people who usually didn't have a say, man. And so the people who usually didn't have a say were usually, you know, the lower class of society, you know. The thing is about Hugo Chavez is, although that, you know, the opposition leaders of Venezuela did not suffer that much, you know, when we say opposition leaders, I mean like those dudes that, you know, are in Venezuela but also living large in Miami, have like beachfront properties in Miami, who have you know, kids that are educated in Ivy League schools in the United States and whatnot, and live in high society in Venezuela. You know, those are the guys I'm talking about. Now, you know, for them, it is a matter of being greedy and wanting more, you know, and that's what happened. So that's why they use, and that's why the United States is involved, because, you know, they will accept imperialism as long as they get a little piece of the pie, in which the United States would cut out and distribute to them. But since Hugo Chavez wasn't having that, they did everything in their power to try to kill him. I mean, they did a coup d'etat on him, and it was an illegitimate coup d'etat. You know, even his own people went to go get him, man. His own army basically went to go get him, and they even felt that this coup d'etat was basically illegal. So another thing that happened too is that, you know, the thing is, I have my thoughts on it. You know, I really have my thoughts about how, you know, Hugo Chavez finally died. But, you know, Hugo Chavez, you know, eventually what happened is he got cancer and he died, you know. You know, some people are of speculation that he was actually given cancer, man. Like, some people actually think so, that, you know, that the powers that be could not stand to see that, you know, like, populations were having a voice, and, you know, that's just basically it. You know, another thing that needs to be said too, they didn't like the fact that Venezuela and Cuba were becoming very close, like, with one another, you know, because some of the same ideals that Cuba had, Venezuela had. So let's go to Cuba real quick. Let's just talk about Cuba real quick and why Cuba is the way it is today. Let's talk about that. Now with Cuba, you know, the revolution, the Cuban Revolution, it was not perfect, okay? Because at the end of the day, what happened is you had some ragtag guerrilla fighters, and they basically, took power, took destiny into their own hands. But the problem is they weren't really trained politically, on what to add in order to make this thing function correctly. There were some gains in the revolution. Don't get me wrong. There were some really significant gains, especially in sport. I gotta call it. Not many people are messing with Cuban boxers and Cuban athletes in the track and field or in different fields, period, including wrestling, and Cuba dominates in those things. Cuba has a very, very good sports thing going on. And they made gains in literacy, they made gains in health. There were some significant gains, but the problem is with Cuba is its over-reliance to the Soviet Union. Because it has such a reliance on the Soviet Union and whatnot. And once the Cold War ended and whatnot, that was pretty much it for Cuba. And so you top that with the trade embargo that the United States put on Cuba. That makes things double the difficulty for Cuba. Now keep in mind, man, before Fidel Castro took power, okay? And this is leading up to my point for Cuba and Venezuela, what I'm about to say. Before Fidel Castro took power in Cuba, okay? The order of the day was a pro-United States regime. You would have gangsters go to the United States, gamble, open casinos down there, actually cheat the locals out of their casino winnings at times using these just different tricks. You know what I mean? And so yeah, you had also you also had in Cuba at the time too. You had the same discrimination going on in the United States and still happening in the United States at a recordly high level now. You had that going on over there as well. Black Cubans could not go to certain beaches. Black Cubans couldn't go to certain restaurants. Black Cubans couldn't go to certain schools. They couldn't. Black Cubans just held specific jobs. They did not they did not have basically a access to higher jobs, higher positions. And so once Fidel Castro, and I need to say this too, once Fidel Castro banned discrimination, because a lot of the revolutionary guerrillas were Black Cubans, man. There were a lot in the ranks. Once he banned discrimination and integrated Black Cubans into society, although in Cuba still, race is a taboo issue, it's still taboo, but, there were drastic improvements with the race, with the Cuban Revolution. But it just gave upward mobility to Black people, for once, since it wasn't given to them with Bautista, so this is the whole thing about it, so you have Black Cubans, who, became lawyers, became doctors, became economists, became different things, of course athletes, and that's the thing about that system too. In order, for example, if you're going to be a Olympic athlete, or if you're going to be like a like just competing on the international stage, you still have to go to school and have some kind of you know, study that you're going to take up and that you're going to lead your post-career with, basically, you know. So we also have to talk about Venezuela too, in regards to this too, because what happened with Hugo Chavez, you know, Hugo Chavez, you know, he was the first Venezuelan leader actually to acknowledge his blackness, you know, because, you know, he said in the speech that, you know, imperialism is, basically to sum up the speech, he said imperialism usually equals racism, usually equals supremacy, usually equals capitalism. And then he talked about his features, saying that, you know, his curly hair and you know, his big lips, they come from Africa. You know, he said that, you know, Venezuela is, you know, a host to a lot of motherlands, and one of the greatest motherlands is host to is Africa. And so, you know, the thing is, he was adding reforms too for black Venezuelans. And, you know, you have black Venezuelans in politics now for the first time ever. You know, you have black Venezuelans taking different positions and things like that they normally would not take, you know. So here's the thing about the whole thing in a nutshell. The reason why United States and other places, you know, that support the United States want destabilization in Cuba, in places like Cuba, in places like Venezuela, is because it's not only about economics, but it's about the fact that the supporters of these revolutions usually look like the black from Senegal, the black from Haiti, the black from Grenada, or the black from Harlem, New York. Okay? That's what the majority of the supporters of these revolutions look like. Now, those who oppose the revolution look like the European from Portugal, the European from Spain, the European from France, the European from Germany. So it's not, so when these news outlets say that they're trying to, you know, basically, you know, are advocates for peace and are advocates for the human rights abuses going on in these places, it's most 99% of it is fake. You know, it really comes down to the fact that they hate to see a person that is not of their hue, of their ethnic background, actually taking charge of their country and running it in a way in which will take time to add progress to, but will eventually add progress to. You know, so when people see these things, man, like when people see, especially the elite higher uppers, you know, when people see that these countries are trying to become self-sufficient, when people see that these countries are trying to get debt-free, when people see that these countries are trying to use the resources for the benefit of the overall population, they can't help themselves but to try to attack it because of the simple fact that the people who are leading the charge are people who are of a brown or black or, how should I say it, bronze or olive complexion, usually most of the time, who support these things, you know. they don't look like what, they don't look, put it this way, they don't look like the way that the opposition thinks they should look, basically. Okay? And I'm gonna tell you something else, man. Like, if these people get into power, and if these people, like, if the United States does, like, send military to Venezuela, if the United States tries to again, like, interfere in Cuba and stuff like that, I'm gonna tell you what, man, it's gonna really end up like bad for the majority of the population, and only like a very small minority will reap the benefits of like what they're trying to do, man. Because I'm gonna tell you this too. The majority of these countries, the Venezuela, the Cubas, and stuff like that, are made up of people who are of African descent, people who are of mixed mestizo descent, people who are of indigenous descent. They're not made up of these guys that you see on these novellas, man. It's like only a small like minority that make up that, man. I mean, I'm just being honest with you, man. Like, I go to Florida sometimes, I go to Miami sometimes, man. And, you know, and I'm just gonna be real with you. Like, a lot of these Cubans, man, over there, like, a lot of them, man, they have the same mentality as some of these Donald Trump followers, man. I'm just letting you know. And that's why you see a lot of them over there anyway, because, hey, you know, I'm not trying to generalize all of them. I'm not going to generalize the whole shebang of them, but a lot of them, you know, once things were nationalized in Cuba and stuff like that, a lot of them had like big estates. You know, they owned a lot. Like, I mean, they monopolized a lot of the country. So, you know, once that stopped, you know, they went to America so they can do the same thing that they were doing before. You know. But here's the real deal. You can't really buy what these news outlets are saying about Venezuela. You can't really buy what these news outlets are saying about Cuba. You know, you really have to, like, either A, talk to a local like I have, you know, and like I still do, or you have to go there like I will in a matter of months, you know, because then you get to see the reality, you get to see the real deal, you get to see what actually is happening. But if you believe, like, you know, like Fox 11, if you believe CNN, and if you even believe like anything President Trump says, like, then, I mean, I'm sorry, I can't help you, man. I really can't help you. Like, those outlets serve a purpose, you know. And if you don't do the research yourself, then you're going to fall for that purpose, you know. So this is why I'm saying, you know, like, yeah, man, you can't really like believe like what these news outlets preach. So I'm gonna give one more example real quick, and then I'm gonna end this video. You know, the West will demonize a country in East Africa called Eritrea. And the only crime that Eritrea has is it wants to be self-sufficient. It does not want to rely on humanitarian aid because they know that aid equals debt usually. It wants to be able to establish its own destiny. You know, it doesn't want a World Bank in this country. You know, it wants to be independent. It wants sovereignty, you know, free from what all these other petty bourgeois African governments have, man. And so now they're on the campaign to destabilize it as well. You know, they're trying to destabilize Eritrea as well. You know, and giving out this misinformation. You know, I don't know why they're doing it, but they're just doing it, man. And the thing is, with Eritrea, now I don't know if there's natural resources there or not. Really, like I'm not quite sure, but I think like the majority of the resources would have to be in agriculture. But I'll have to research some more on this matter. But the simple thing is this, man. These news outlets, you know, have a job to do. And their job is to sell you a narrative that may not necessarily be true. And the narrative is that, you know, the Venezuelan elections are like, for example, were not legitimate, that those elections were basically a scam, that those elections did not count, that those elections were undemocratic, and, you know, everything is very, very, very falsified in this regard. And, you know, the thing is I'm just going to end it on this. I'm just going to end it on this note. Who is the United States and these other people to try to imprint Westminster democracy on these other countries when it doesn't even work in America right now? I mean, you have the longest government shutdown going on. You have a dude who's trying to build a wall instead of reforming like other things that need to be reformed in this country. And then you're trying to export this to other places? Come on now, man, get real. But that's all I got for now, guys. Again, I say I'm 100%, 110% in support of the Bolivarian Revolution, the Cuban Revolution, and any other revolution that equals a self-sufficient, sovereign country where peace is established, welfare is established, health is established, and people's bare necessities are established. Okay, I usually don't give my political views, but Fool of Sports, you never know what to expect with him. And so here you have it. So yes, Fool of Sports studies the Cuban Revolution, Fool of Sports studies the Bolivarian Revolution, Fool of Sports studies the Grenadian Revolution, Fool of Sports studies the Eritrean EPLF Revolution. Fool of Sports also studies where he comes from, his neck of the woods, the Burkina Faso Revolution. And the common thing with all these revolutions is that there was always this false narrative painted by the Western media. And I can't help you if you're going to buy that narrative now. But that's all I got for now, guys. Leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Inshallah.